So Maisha was supposed to join y'all tonight, but mine's a little under the weather, so it's me, Yaya from BSB. It's good to see everybody. Thank you, Charla. Is it Charla or Charla? Appreciate it. So let's get started. I had the privilege and honor of being an ARC reader for the night, and so I be feeling so special, y'all. I just want to say congratulations to Rae on book 6.
Thank you.
You
Hey,
did
Brianne. Hey.
an amazing job. I'm like so freaking proud of you for
Thank
always,
you.
dropping these books and doing it with such dedication. And for me personally, I always say it's like you're doing a dedication to our Black boys, and that just makes me extremely proud. So,
I try. I try to tell their stories. I try and I try to do their stories justice too.
yes, yes, yes. 6 books, y'all. 6 books. So let's get into it. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. First of all, let me tell y'all. So Rae sent me some of the questions, and Maisha called me, of course. Some of the questions that she wanted. We have the very same first question. You know what that is? Rae, you said no more Sun series. No more. You
I
were done.
did.
Especially when you gave us Ace's story, and we thought, yeah, so what brought you back to the Sun series? Were they just not done talking to you? What happened?
I guess that's what it was. I don't know. Y'all know I just be saying stuff. I'll say something and then I change my mind. I change my mind all the time. But a lot of people were asking for Nuney's story. And then I got the idea and I was like, you know what? Let me just try it out. I always do that. I was like, let me just try it out and see where it goes, see where it takes me.
Hmm.
And we ended up here. We ended up here. So we need Zeke's story, right?
Yeah. So let me tell you, I'm like, the one thing Ray's books have taught me is that you do have to be an intentional reader, like pay attention to the stuff you don't think you need to pay attention to. Because I'm confident that when I've read, I miss Nuney. Nuney was not a factor. And so for us to get Nuney's story and to get this need for Zeke to come out, yeah, I mean, I kind of left them where they were because I was the main focus, one of those people that focus mostly on the main character.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be so intentional when you read her. And that's why this time when I read the Sean Badass
Bunny.
Since Bunny, girl, damn, let's tell you something. Damn, Bunny. Girl, wait, let me tell you. Is Lizette in here? Lizette is so freaking petty. Somebody asked in the sunroom, they said, does Mo have kids? Lizette said, if you count Bunny. Unless you count
Not
Bunny.
unless you count Bunny.
Girl,
She's
Bunny is so
she's
childish.
enough. I don't think
She
they
is
need
a
kids. She's
damn
enough.
Please do not reproduce with Bunny ass.
I had to think about that too. I was like, do they have kids? Or and I was like, do they need kids? And I started writing. I said, no, they don't need kids.
Petty, y'all see my cup.
Yeah,
Let me
great.
tell y'all. First of all, the thing I love about Rae, it's so evident that your pen just kind of, it's just a natural flow because you brought us away from the Sun series, but you didn't let us forget. They still were there because there was my boy. What do we call him? What's his street name? His music name?
Oh,
What
Doe.
No, we call it. Girl, Maisha, we're gonna talk about Bunny and them goddamn koi fish. We definitely gonna talk about that. But yeah, with Doe, you didn't let us forget. It's like that was the constant
Yeah.
reminder. You brought us away from the series for a little bit, and you literally brought somebody kind of into the world, right? And introduced us. It's almost like a Rae world. I don't know how we
Yeah.
call it RaeLand.
Yes, y'all in my crazy imagination.
The
My big
RaeLand.
head, yeah.
So yes, girl, Bunny ass was a mess. Bunny came out in the book cutting up. And see, Bunny was one of those books that I wasn't totally feeling in the beginning because I was like, this fucking girl crazy.
It takes time to get into.
Bunny is a whole goddamn mess. We do indeed
Hey, I love
love
you too.
Rae. We love us some Rae. And thank y'all so much for joining us tonight. I know I'm probably not the face y'all was looking for, but I heal. So let's talk about this. Let me ask the question, what inspired the age gap? This is a little different. Everybody is usually matched up well. I mean, maybe a little bit of a gap in the experience, but not so much the age. This was drastic. This was a big age gap. What was the inspiration behind this?
Ooh, well, okay, so first I had never wrote such a big age gap. Like in the end game, Jade and Justin had like a tiny, tiny age gap. It wasn't real. That's not a real age gap. But this was a real, true age gap.
This was.
Yes. And also, I just wanted something different for the main female character. I felt that's what Anthony's character needed. Like in 30, you heard him musing about like him wanting to fall in love because he's watching his friends fall in love. Of course, he's not sober when he says it. So, and then in previous books, like it's like you couldn't really take Nuney seriously because of the stuff that he would say and do. But we see a moment between him and Tosh where he's like musing about like falling in love. And then I started thinking, I'm like, well, what kind of woman does Anthony need? And I'm like, okay, this is the type of woman that Anthony needs, considering what all he went through in the book and for the night.
You know, for me, it's almost as if what he even described with Dee, their experiences were too similar for him to really receive it. It's almost as if we went to school together. What the fuck can you teach me, right? But somebody a lot older kind of fed him what he needed.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I got from it. It was like she had just enough to give him in an unexpected manner, because I think they hit it on the nose with one of my favorite lines when he said there was no expectations. So you had no idea. It's like what you got, this grown ass man. Oh, girl. Nuney is my Juvie, y'all. That's my Lil Juvie. Nuney is my Lil Juvie because, first of all, I know in real life, yeah, I can't do no 20. My daughter is 30. What the hell I look like? No, can't do it. But it worked for Venus.
It worked out for Venus. It worked out perfectly, Venus. And she didn't even think that's what she needed, but that's what she got.
Venus and my baby could be good friends, okay? That's all I can say, because I love me some damn Nuney too in the book. But don't worry, first off, we ain't dealing with no Purtle ass niggas out here.
Allegra said AJ ain't nothing but a number. I agree, Allegra. I agree.
Lies and garbage. I bet you Allegra ain't dealing with no little young niggas out here. Trust me. Trust me, Allegra is not dealing with nobody younger than her baby, so she can lie.
Can you pronounce Venus' last name, please? It's Thibodeau.
Thibodeau? Yeah. Girl, that's a Louisiana thing.
Thibodeau, yeah.
I'm so surprised she was from Georgia.
Actually, she's from Texas. Venus is from Texas.
Texas.
Yes. So she ended up with the ex-husband's last name. He was a Thibodeau. So maybe he was from Louisiana.
Maybe that ninja. So let me just ask this question. I know you leave us. You put us with so many characters that we're now paying attention to, right?
Yeah.
Like somebody said earlier about Zeke. Baby, 504, talking about Louisiana in the house. You leave so many breadcrumbs throughout your book to make sure that there's something else you can revisit. What's her name? Kristen?
Yeah.
Kristen?
Yeah.
How you said Kristen. You definitely left room with Zeke. And I think there's even the kids as they start to come up at some point. But we got some time.
I remember we were talking about that after 30. People were saying, oh, you know, you could write about the kids when they get older. It's room. There's room for anything, really.
There is room. There's room. And even if you wanted to go and dip back into that basketball world, right? Which you and I talked
Yeah.
about a story that I
Yeah.
would love to feel come on out. Now that's an interesting topic. Somebody said I hate Kristen so bad, and let me tell you, y'all, I'm 48, and I came here hate Kristen because somebody didn't develop that baby. And what I loved about Venus is that she checked her with love. She did a Tabitha Brown on her. She literally put her in her place to help her understand, baby, marriage does not define you.
Exactly.
It's not.
Mm-hmm.
And her girls, what she wanted was what she was seeing everybody else
Yeah.
get. I mean, even Homeboy got love.
Yeah. Because even when we meet Kristen in the end game, she's like searching for that perfect partner. And that was her big
Yeah.
thing in the end game. And Tasha and Jade are always laughing about, oh, she's searching for her twin flame, her perfect partner. So we see that from Kristen. So it is natural for her to feel that way when we get to book 6. And
Yeah,
oh,
that pity.
I pity her. Oh.
Yes. And it was easy to pity her because, first off, I felt secondhand embarrassment for her
Mm-hmm.
when she was calling herself coming at Anthony. Nah, I ain't gonna lie, my black ass would have been like, no, not this one. That's me, because I'm just ignorant. No nigga that's sitting right next to me, I'm not about to let no woman clown her. But again, I applaud Venus because she went about it with such respect. She went about it with such a manner of integrity,
Mm-hmm.
delicate. She was really, really intentional about not embarrassing her.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? She wanted to make sure she understood, and she didn't do it in front of the whole goddamn room. She
Mm-hmm.
waited till her and no girl was on the side, and just kind of let her have it in a very gentle way. So all of us ain't there yet. I'm not that grown. I'm not. But so with that being said, about all of these breadcrumbs you're leaving us throughout the book, have you developed like a list of characters that has been talking to you on the side that you might want to throw in? They've been saying, throw me in, a coach, take me off the bench. What's going on?
The way my brain works is weird. So usually whenever I get a new idea for a story, it's like when I'm at the tail end of the previous book. And I always say that. I'll be almost done with a book and then I'll get an idea for another book. And it just depends. Like it could be totally different characters. Sometimes it's minor characters from like other books in the Sun series, and sometimes it's totally different characters. Like with Ace and Fat for at the end of it all, they came out of nowhere. Like they were nowhere in the Sun series. They just popped into my head. So I don't know.
Let me tell you, when I read Ray's book, I'm literally living in it. And it was so funny because when I read Ace's book, my daughter had introduced us to the term fat, even though I know I've heard it a long time ago. First of all, Tara.
Sports analogies. So proud of you.
But anyway, so it was so funny because I was like, for her to be called fat, PHAT, I was cracking up laughing. But I identify as someone who's been in education for a very long time. I identify with so many of the characters that you wrote. I remember asking you, hey Ray, have you dealt with kids? And she was like, nah, that ain't my
That's not my
ministry.
ministry.
But you
Nope.
would never ever guess that you haven't, because it's like you're telling a story that I recognize, that I identify. We start, I really pulled out with JoJo, and even with Dominique, you made me start thinking like, stop judging these boys we see on the news as getting in trouble, because we really don't have any idea the story that in the lifestyle, the experiences. Because listen, I learned very early on that the story that these children have to tell, most of us adults have not lived.
Mm-hmm.
So for
Very true.
to have these well-developed stories. Now listen, if you a Ray fan, you know she ain't rushing shit out. Ray is
Never.
not all these books. She might drop one at the beginning of the year and one at the end. but there's a lot of time that goes into developing her stories, her characters. We get enough background where we understand them, we can identify them. I can't imagine jumping into a Rae book. I just my director, she's a reader too, and I just introduced her to the Sun series, and I wanted her to start with book one. And it's like the way you write, you introduce us to making sure we understand what you know about them is that society has called them this.
Mm-hmm.
But the hood made them go there. So, society also made them go there. The opportunities weren't necessarily made available to them, unfortunately. And you make sure you break that out to us. And I so love that. We have Anthony, aka Nuney, aka Aunt, aka my Lil Juvie. We got Venus. You normally have visuals to throw out at us, and you ain't do that. And when you threw out that book cover, I was like, damn, that is beautiful. Let's talk about that book cover, girl. What was the inspiration behind that? I mean, was that all your idea? Was that the book cover creator's idea? What brought that in? Because I love the fact that we got the smoke coming out with the purple. Oh, and it was like 3D. It just popped at you.
It was my idea. So usually whenever I'm like in the middle of writing a book, that's when I'll start like thinking of the book cover. So I was like in the middle of writing it, so I'll browse through like the websites where you get the images from for book covers and stuff. And I seen this picture and I was like, ooh, this is good. And usually what I'll do is just save like a few that like speak to me, or like I'll think like this looks good or would look good on a book cover. And then I kept going back to it. I'll keep going back to it. I'll play around with it. And then I started making the mock-up in Canva before I sent it to the graphic designer. And I was like, this is what I want. And back then I knew that Venus had purple hair. And I said, oh, okay. I was like, we're going to make these flowers purple. And then I feel like that image just speaks to Anthony and who he is. And then, of course, I mean, he loves Venus. He loves her purple hair. And then Munch loved Venus's purple hair. That was the theme throughout the book, yeah. That's how Munch, like, we were able to see Munch build her connection with Venus throughout the book, because Venus is like, she's not speaking in class, maybe she's nonverbal, and the whole time, Munch is showing her like, hey, I like you, like, I'm coloring everything purple, like, I'm smiling at you, like, I really, really like you. And it took, for her and Anthony to spend their night together for him to explain, like, she's like me, she's not going to tell you every little thing that she feels, but she'll show you how she feels.
And we got that. We definitely got that. And we're going to dig into that. But I love everything everybody is saying, because if the fact that you brought, like, even book one, everybody was like, oh my God, this freaking cover. You had the tattoo, girl, that body, oh my God. That body. I mean, you had it up, and you didn't even get a full face. It was just the image itself. It just spoke volumes. It was art.
And I'm big on not showing faces. Art. I like to keep like that ambiguity of like the face. Like, you don't have to see the face.
We got the back.
Yeah. That's like my thing. Yeah, I don't like to show the face, except for Bunny. Bunny's the only one where it shows like an actual face, because it's Bunny. Like, you need her face.
Girl, put Bunny ass in a bubble.
Oh, Bunny.
But yes, there was Munch gave us everything. If you know, that's Tori. Yes. What is her name? Toriana.
Munch, Toriana, Munchkin.
Munch.
Jitterbug.
Girl.
Bug.
Yes, I love that. Venus, first off, she didn't necessarily judge her. She was genuinely concerned.
She was. As a kindergarten
teacher, because I remember in the sunroom there was a topic and someone said, "No, I felt like she was judging, her status too soon." Well, we had been in school for a few weeks now, right? And it's like the judgment did come when Daddy showed up late. Now, I mean, if you got educators out here, y'all know who Who wants to be at work past 3 o'clock? God damn it, I be trying to get out the door at 2:58. Shit.
Right. And in that scene, another staff member had said she would stay. Venus didn't even say she would
Oh,
stay. So her thinking is, you know, he's late. I'm sitting here. There's no communication. And that whole scene, it was written purposely like that to show how much of a mix up it was. And
exactly.
even she says, she's like, I think this is all a big misunderstanding. But by then, he was already offended.
He was
So,
already offended because, listen, my girl went in because it's like, I don't give a damn. Between you and the office, y'all got to get this shit together.
yes.
And I don't blame her. Because, God damn it, if I had a hair appointment, yeah, come on, Munch. You're going to have to call them from the hairdresser because, baby,
Yes.
I ain't missing this appointment. I mean, just think about it, y'all. It was like, there were so many instances where, and that's the part that tripped me out. She talking at home, and we know how kids are. I have a little cousin that's very antisocial. It's like she got to get to know you.
Mm-hmm.
So you look at her and you be like, so she don't talk? Oh, yeah, her ass talk, all right. Around people that they're comfortable with. So it's so important to, you know, to give them a little chance. But I love that. What do we call it? Selective mutation?
Yes, selective mutism, choose selectively mute.
Yeah. I don't like for Nuney to be getting smart with Venus, but Venus had, you know,
he had to.
energy for him.
Somebody said they like how he made her walk to the office with him. I agree.
When they filled out that paperwork, he was like, so I did this paperwork in the office already. And you know what part that tripped me out? Bunny knew she could have called Nuney and shit. She knew that Bunny ass look at them goddamn fish.
Yes. I think somebody said Bunny and the koi fish need a novella or something.
Leave Bunny and them goddamn kois right where she
is.
Man. So let's talk about you know, we talked about the purple hair. Did y'all pay attention to how Munch was coloring every damn thing in purple? There was purple every goddamn way, all on the wall. And our favorite crayon was purple. Everything. And for me, even though in her silence she was speaking, she was saying a lot. She was like, I like this shit. Yes. And I felt like Anthony loved her because I kind of connected with her in a sense before, because it's like off the energy of my baby. All right, I'm feeling.
Yeah.
You know, like she don't like everybody.
Yes.
But
that was a big thing for him. He noticed. He was like, especially the night of the date, her horrible date. And he's like, you know, my baby likes her. So let me see.
All of that happened. We had a little moment in the office, and then boom, she go out on a date. She ain't been on a date in forever. Yeah. I'm talking. Now I ain't gonna lie. I was sitting there like underneath the table reading the book because I had to be like, I'm embarrassed. I'm so
the secondhand embarrassment. Yeah.
I am so embarrassed. This piece of shit then took this girl out. Now, and then for her debit card to decline. Oh my God. There was so many moments where I was just absolutely embarrassed because that date was from hell. There was this movie with Gabrielle Union. Remember when she was doing all the dates and shit, and she was dating a guy that had the jersey on. He was a rapper and all that shit.
The man was so trifling, and he suggested the restaurant. He did. Yes, Char said it reminded her of Hell Date. Y'all remember the show from BET from back in the day?
Oh my God. Somebody said Sean Chadwick is in the house.
Hey, Sean.
That's what it was. Daddy's Little Girls. Yes, that was it. That shit, Julia. That shit had me cracking up laughing because I was so embarrassed for her. For this nigga, first of all, this nigga stole somebody else's credit card.
Oh man.
Oh my God, that was so funny. There was so many moments where, first off, you automatically recognize Nuney's confidence,
Yes.
right? Because, yep, I'm at this restaurant, I'm working, but little do you know, this ain't all I'm about.
Yes. That
We
was
get special.
that definitely spoke to his character. Like nothing fazed him, and that's what I like about Nuney. And also how smart he was. I mean, it was nothing for
Very.
him to learn that role. I mean, think about how hard it is to be a waiter or a waitress in a restaurant like that. And for him to take that on so easily, like that was nothing for him.
But when we learn more about him, let's talk about that interaction with Vaughn.
Yeah.
It, when they show up at this restaurant, and let's not forget, because I ain't lie, I was a little surprised that he was messing with the little young girl. But my boy said he got knees. DD wasn't available. And hey,
Hey.
Nisha.
Somebody said, do I cackle whenever I write? Yes, I do. I laughed throughout that whole scene when I wrote it.
Girl, I stayed laughing when I read that because it was like when he checked Vaughn, I was like, wait, and the way he did that shit, he was like, nah, she don't believe that I check your way. I was like, what about y'all? What about the scene when they went to the studio? The white boy, Justin Bieber. That was amazing. Yes, he messed with Michaela because her mama was the lawyer. But I like how gentle he was with her. He was very gentle as a whole with everybody he encountered, except for the niggas when they call themselves trying to play with him at the studio. Y'all remember that? At the studio when he had to bring everybody down. But even Vaughn had so much respect for him to say he was a OG.
Mm, yeah. That's the thing I like about Vaughn's character, and even his character in Saving Sunflower, he was the same way whenever he met Dominique in Saving Sunflower. He respected Dominique and he never talks down to them. And that's what I like. Right? I think Vaughn needs a book too. I
Girl,
don't know.
Vaughn go sit his ass down. We better put Vaughn ass somewhere in another
Yes.
book, another side character. I don't want to read shit about Vaughn.
Yes,
Vaughn,
Amber. It was Devon from
Vaughn act like because
Saving
he had
Sunflower.
money, he can do what the fuck he want. He was playing in this man's face. I don't give a fuck if him and Venus wasn't serious. If he had no intentions about, don't play in a man's face when the man he done brought this woman to your house.
He did, yeah. He was trying to, but also Venus and Vaughn were closer in age, so he probably felt that that's why he could do that. But yes, Vaughn was in Saving Sunflower. I see people asking. He was in Saving Sunflower. He was the club promoter, and it's mentioned in For the Night, like where he tells Venus about like his old club promotion days, and he's like
Uh,
reminiscing. So now
uh,
he's more settled, and he owns restaurants now.
Listen, you know who I was always considering and thinking about? Um, our boy from Waffle House.
Who? Oh, Desmond's cousin.
Yes.
Yes. Where's Josie at? So
Well,
Josie is a reader who freaking loves rock. Like I have never met anybody who is obsessed with rock as Josie is, and I hope Josie is on here because she is always messaging me about rock, and I'm like, girl, he is the most minor of minor characters.
yeah, we had everybody from everywhere. The whole 30 game. And to be honest with you, it's like the 30 game, that part was another scene that I truly, truly did appreciate. When the guys got together and they just talk. When they
Yes.
come together. I love how JoJo's innocence still remains. It's like he doesn't get big headed at all.
Never, yes, because that is JoJo's character. It's like that's just him. He's always gonna be humble and down to earth. Like that's JoJo. And then they all recognize that in him. And they all recognize like how much he carries. Like that is definitely a theme starting with Dominic. Like he knew who Josiah was, the type of person he is. Even in 30, like Dre, whenever he gets out of prison, he knows the type of person Josiah is, and he knows that he is going to want to take care of everybody, like regardless or no matter what. And I like the scene too where Anthony and Venus are in the car and they're talking, and she was like, "Why don't you just ask Josiah for the money?" And he was like, "Josiah's not an ATM." He was
That
like,
part.
"That's my brother." He
Come
was
on.
like, "What do I look like asking him for $20,000 to get, my kid back?" Like,
But baby, we gonna come to that because Zeke had to hit on something. I want to point out something Brandine Amber says. She says, "I love the way 30 is developing with each character. I love everyone's role. What I love about it is that you're basically bringing us more into learning who they are. And like you said, society called them a gang, but
mm-hmm.
they are community, they're family, they're a
Yes,
brotherhood. I mean, it's they're just identifying from where they came from,
yes,
which is how they came to be called 30. But the love that they have for one another is so freaking genuine, that brotherhood. And I mean, let's keep it real. In our communities, in Black communities, that's exactly what our boys need, to be uplifted by one another. The older ones, like Drake constantly speaking positive shit. He didn't went through it,
mm-hmm.
and he had sacrifices for his boy.
Yes,
Right? So we get a little bit of all of that, and he coming back teaching. It's what they call it Sankofa,
mm-hmm.
right? When you reach back, to bring forward, and you're trying to make things better than they were, and that's exactly what all of them do. And I love that JoJo brings them into all of these experiences that he's having. Like
Yes,
they all jumped on the damn plane or whatever. It's like, man, listen. And it's like they're not new to this shit. It's like it's not, you know how some niggas be acting when they ain't never been around new
mm-hmm.
shit and nice shit.
Yeah, they don't know how to act.
They're not like that. They are
Uh-uh.
literally just as humble as he is.
Yes,
They're appreciative of him. There's no users amongst them. They
yes,
truly, truly do love one another.
yes. And I try to keep that continuity throughout the series, and also while showcasing their growth, because
Yes.
I can't have them stagnant. So, like, if you read Saving Sunflower, even though Dominique and Desmond, they're not a part of like 30, but you see the growth from like Josiah and where they come from.
Right.
In Saving Sunflower, they have nothing, right? And then we get to For the Night, and things are different. Diane has had a condo, now she's got another house, and Claudette and Dominic, they have a huge house. They're well off. Everybody is okay. Desmond's a chef now, and he can take care of Logan. And I always tell people, like, I always feel like responsible. Like I have to make sure that they're good, like they're okay. Like it's just their character arc. Like they all have to be safe and okay at the end of the story. Like I wouldn't be able to sleep if they weren't safe and okay.
Absolutely. And AKA Desmond Mo. Y'all remember how we came into basically being introduced to Mo from the very beginning. He was behind the scenes a little jealous every now and then.
He was. And then we find out in Bunny why, because his heart was broken. Him and Logan had a complicated relationship, and in Saving Sunflower, he kind of hints at it, because he recognizes that pain in Dominic. And he's like, I've been there before, like, and then you find out in Bunny what happened. So, yeah, they need to give Logan
Girl,
ass some edge.
listen, I'm about to tell you, Mo ass probably stay high fucking around with Bunny because girl, Bunny is a handful. That is a whole damn mess. Y'all are hitting on some great points
Yes.
here. When we talk about 30 as a whole, like you mentioned, you remind us that Dominic is not a part, but 30 is because JoJo was or
Yes.
is. You get, and JoJo is and was because of Dominic.
Of
And
Dominic,
it's like
yes.
you constantly make sure, and again, he's very hands-on with all of them. Like you even brought Ace into this with the
Yes,
right.
because Asen was an only child, and then here you have Dominic, who his roots are in Los Angeles, and Ace is from LA, and so you have Dominic, who's like this complete stranger to him, but he sees himself in Ace, and so he takes him under his wing because Ace needs a big brother. He needs somebody to guide him. And then at the end of it all, like we see Ace really, really needed that guidance because he really didn't have any, especially in male figures. So like we see him get that with Marcus, and then we see him get that with Dominic,
Yeah.
even though like we don't really see Wado until like the end of the book, but like his lessons and his presence are there throughout the story.
Yeah, Ace truly was indeed everything in his story. But you know what I love about all of them? First off, you're not bringing them to a point. Everybody's a rapper. Everybody is
Mm-hmm.
this. You know, everybody is finding their own
Yes.
way, their own niche, and that's exactly what you did with Ant. You like at the end, he had to realize I do have a talent. I do have a gift, and it's unique. You know,
Yes.
yeah, I can kick a few asses here and there if need, but that's not gonna keep me out of jail.
Right. But Anne is
And
so
I
smart that
love
he
that.
can literally do anything. And that's what Venus was trying to get him to understand. Like, your brain is so beautiful. You can do anything, you can do whatever you want. And also, I mean, throughout the book, like, even throughout the series, we learn that Ant, he works on cars. He's smart with cars. He knows
Yeah,
how to do those things. But he's also smart in other areas. So he could have easily worked on cars or been a mechanic. But seeing him, like plopping him into a restaurant and seeing how he acts or interacts there, that was the fun part for me. Like if I took in and dropped him in here, like how would he communicate with the staff, with the patrons, like with his boss, his manager? How would he manage all of this? So
yeah, yeah. Those all of them. That's just my heart. I feel like I've never wanted any of them because I see them all as kids. But
mm-hmm.
my baby and my little Juvie and my little. Let me tell you, this is why Ant is my Juvie. Ant is my Juvie because this man was intimate. He rubbed feet, y'all. What
He
woman don't want their
did.
feet rubbed? This, and then the pool scene. Everything about his interaction with Venus made her feel seen. It made her feel, you know, loved. It made her feel special. He had his own unique way.
Mm-hmm.
And see when he slapped her on the ass to remind her. See when he said, "Come here."
Oh yeah, in the studio scene. In the studio scene,
Girl.
yes.
And
That whole night was like, it was super fun to write, like that whole night. Even so after their date had ended. But Venus being Venus, she was like, I wanna come with you. So we see the evolution of the date and how it ends up.
girl, y'all, that scene, every moment he dealt with her, he was so intentional about how he handled her. He was just so fucking sexy. And you know, here's what I also appreciated about him. She kept calling him a little boy. He wasn't about correcting her. He was about showing
Yeah.
her. He didn't give what she called him because it's like you call me what you want. I know that nigga didn't take care of you the way I am. And just within days, this wasn't even a long period of time,
It
right?
wasn't,
And
no.
she literally had something to grasp in her older age. Because I know she probably felt like a couple of times she even said it like, I'm around all these kids. But she had so much to bring that they needed because these are kids, a lot of them, that did not have that nurturing from adults.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have any adults reaching down to really give them good experiences of a life or teaching them. That husband was definitely an epic failure.
Yeah, Trey was interesting. That was another thing while writing. I was like, how much of Trey do I want to give in this book, or how much energy do I even want to invest in his character? Because that takes energy. Whenever you're doing character development and you're writing characters with a lot of backstory and stuff, you have to decide, like, what am I going to spend my energy on? And does Trey deserve this amount of airtime? Like, because as crappy of a partner as he was, like, does he really deserve this? No.
He didn't,
Mm-mm.
but we need to know.
Yeah, we
We
need to
need
know.
to know.
Yeah.
I love that she's saying, "Oh, I wanted her to have a baby." What I kept telling you, Ray.
Yeah, y'all all want Venus to have a baby. Look.
Look, listen, her clock is clicking.
It is.
It's
It
clicking, it's
is.
ticking. It ain't even doing a real tick. It's clicking now. It's gonna start dragging.
Everybody wants Venus to have Ant's baby.
Be
Yeah.
having these damn babies all old and shit, and then they be working your nerves. Um, there, you made me lose my train of thought because I was sitting here thinking back. Let's talk about Venus. There was a moment when I was like, "Well, is Daddy dead?" Because I sure was like,
Yeah, a lot of people thought that.
because the way she spoke about Daddy as if the things that he said was just only in her memories,
Mm-hmm.
right? Even though she was recalling conversations, I was like, well, Show hasn't talked to Daddy lately. Y'all was so relieved when that conversation finally came up.
He was alive and well, but Venus had gotten so wrapped up in Ant that she had kind of, she
But
wasn't
was
going
it
to
was
therapy.
it
She
Ant?
wasn't.
Was it Ant that she was wrapped up? I think she was wrapped up in just the life as a whole. Like it was kept digging in her ass. After that
That's
old
true.
folk ass date, she didn't call Daddy and tell him, girl.
Oh man, because at the beginning in the first chapter, she had brought up how she had talked to Daddy about Munch not talking. And so, him and his simplistic advice is always like, oh, it'd be all right, oh, whatever. And so she's like, I kept having to remind him, like, this is not one of your janitor things. Like, it's a baby and she's not talking. And then later on in the book, we see like she's not going to therapy. She ain't called Daddy like she usually do. And she looking like, girl, what?
Right.
What's going on?
Got it together. You got to get it together.
Yes. And I
Then
love that scene whenever he calls her and he's like, the chicken died. And she's like, you could have texted me that.
that
He
was
was
a
like, I need
great
to call you.
story that she cared too much. Picnic. Let me tell you, sis, I thought the same thing because I was like, "Oh, she glowing, she pregnant," and Ray sends me these eyes like, "Is she?" Like, don't play with me. She gotta be. Y'all, I ain't gonna lie. I really, 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 really thought that
Wait a minute.
Daddy was
Now, who
going
said that's because Aunt was her daddy now? You wrong.
on.
No, ma'am.
Baby, Big Daddy. Venus sure was being Mrs. Nunes. You know what I love too? Her interaction both times with Dee Dee. When Dee Dee called and it was in the car, right? Dee Dee sat there, she spoke her piece, but Venus sat there and sat quietly. Now, most of us would have had an attitude, would have been like, bitch, no, he hit women. But it was none of that. She was mature and it gave her insight, right? It gave her insight to the guy she was sitting there, and it allowed him to be a little bit more vulnerable because she got exposed to a little bit more of his life, right?
Yeah.
Then the fight happened when she literally wanted to drag Venus out the car, and it's like, listen, I ain't no punk. Don't push me. I ain't no killer, but don't push me. Because I promise you, she hit, I'm fucking hitting back.
Yes.
And that's me. That's me. I'm not gonna start shit, but I promise you I'm gonna finish it. You're not about to whip on my ass. We not doing that. So I love her maturity and how she handled that. And she felt so freaking bad. She felt bad for not only for Ant, but even more so for Munch. Munch had to witness her mama showing her ass.
Yes. And that was a common occurrence too. We learned throughout the book, that was a thing for them. When he tried to leave, she would do that. Like that was her thing, was to take his baby and to take his kid.
Jasmine said I wanted her so bad, I'm still going. Listen.
It was a lot of y'all who wanted Dee Dee to get it. Y'all wanted Dee Dee out of there. Y'all want Venus to take care of her.
I identify with these books, but I still have to remember I'm grown. I'm almost 50, y'all. So I'm closer to 50 than I was back in 30s. Listen, people go to jail these days. So when she handled her, which they had their conversation at the school, I've been in that situation where I had to take off my petty hat and really be an adult and say, look, sis, that sister sis. And that's what she did. First off, we ain't about to talk about Ant. That nigga should not be your priority. Your baby should be, right? She had that real talk with her to let her know how important it was for her to focus on Munch, the baby, right? And look how Munch was thriving when her mama came back, oh, she had a whole lot to say. You know,
Mm-hmm.
her, as much as we couldn't stand DD because we said her ass was stupid, her ass was young and dumb, and there was just so many things that was going on. Even for her to have herself in jail, we didn't even know the story to the very end.
Yeah.
Right? But we was judging DD. Maisha pointed something out to me this afternoon when I talked to her, and she was like, you know, think about some of the things that Ed pointed out about DD, right? He said how some days she wouldn't even get out the bed.
Mm-hmm.
It was evident that DD was going through something.
Exactly.
Depression. She was, not only was she going through something, she realized she had made some very poor choices. Fucking with the married man, unprotected sex. You ain't got pregnant, and you lied to this man and told this man it was his baby. Her world was just in a whirlwind.
Yes.
Whirlwind. You know, it was like there was so much that was going on. So
Yes. Her DD's character was really, really layered. You know, I always try to make people redeemable. Like, I don't want us to just hate everybody, but
Child, Dr. Brian will be hated. I don't give a fuck. You ain't redeeming.
Okay,
I don't give
besides Brian,
damn.
yeah, Brian don't count. We definitely hate Brian, but with DD, especially the young girls, like I always try to make sure that we see all sides of their character and their story. Like DD did a horrible, horrible thing, but at the end of the day, like she's a fictional character, but she's still human. So it's like, you know, this was the outcome, or you know, this was the aftermath of what she had done. Some days she wouldn't get out of bed, and then at the end, like in the at the end, whenever they're in court and you hear Brian talking about the type of relationship they had, and you probably like thinking like, wow, how sad. Like, you have a piece of a man, you don't even have a whole man. Like, you don't know what you want because you're young, and you just kind of, you keep saying, oh, you see this doctor who wants me, but he doesn't really want you like that. He's not going to leave his wife for you. He's not going to leave his family for you. He's talking like he is, but he won't. And here you have your boyfriend who he treats you good, but you're out there searching for something better or just something else. You don't even know what it is you're searching for. But I do like Dee Dee's character, though. She's super, super smart. I love that about Dee Dee's character. I feel like it was easy to paint her one way until you start learning more about her. Like the scene where Logan calls her when her and Venus are in the office chatting about everything that happened, and she calls Dee Dee, and Dee Dee's getting smart with her, and Dee Dee's like, I read the handbook. I know you're not supposed to be calling me, so what do you want? And then Venus is thinking like, okay, Aunt had kind of warned me about Dee Dee and how she is. Like, she's smart. She does stuff, you know, for him because
manipulate.
she looks a certain way, so he'll send her to do stuff, and she's smart.
And if you remember, one of the things Aunt pointed out was just like Dee Dee, just like Michaela and everybody else, they do anything for him.
They do.
He didn't want a woman that pretty much would sell a soul to the devil just to have him.
Exactly.
Because Venus was that woman that basically had boundaries. She had like a solid, I don't give a fuck.
She was like, I don't care how good you look. Like,
right. Like, nigga, I have no expectations. I really don't give a shit. You do it, you don't. You come, you don't. I mean, wet the kitty up. You know what I'm saying? I love that. What it says, girl, y'all, I'm bad at pronouncing, but I'm gonna read the comment. She says the parallels between Dee Dee and the husband and Venus and ex-husband was great. I agree. There was so much in common, and their pains were so similar, right? Where they dealt with these other folk, right? Venus definitely held Aunt accountable.
She did.
And in every regards, even with regards to Dee Dee, right? She made him very aware. That's it, Kate. He needed a woman to challenge him. That's right. Not only challenge him, but again, make him think a little further, a little more. That was definitely it. She made him dig a little deeper. See, with them, he had to be the one always thinking. Another thing, He needed somebody that could teach him, that can pour into him. He didn't want to be the only one pouring in him. Because what we say about when we keep pouring into everybody else, our fucking cup end up empty. We ain't got shit left, right? He kept pouring into everybody.
He did, yes, he did. And Maisha had pointed that out too about his character. Like that was just that was Nuney. That was his character. Like he just knew to take care of everybody and do whatever they asked of him. Like even with Dre, like whenever they're at the football game and Dre is talking to Venus and he's trying to get her to see, like that is just his character. He's gonna do whatever I ask him to do because he loves us. He loves really, 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 really hard, even though he thinks he doesn't. He just doesn't know that about himself. He doesn't recognize that in himself. But he does it so much to the point where it could be detrimental to him. And he just doesn't realize it.
Glass Guru, you ain't lying. Certified lover boy.
Absolutely.
He definitely was way past his years in just having knowledge of, first off, how to treat a woman. He was so gentle. And I love that he observed so many. He didn't give up on love, right? Because he truly could have. He was like, all these hoes the same. They all, because that's all them young girls was giving him. The same. The very same. And he needed something, like my girl said, he needed mental stimulation.
Yeah.
He definitely.
And even Venus did too. That was a big thing for her too. Like whenever they first ride home, he brings her home. And just that short conversation they have, she talks about like how mentally that part of her brain hadn't been scratched in a long time by a man. So she's like, wait, hold on.
Y'all, listen, Jasmine says she looking for a young aunt, baby. I hope you young aunt age around that age, because let me tell y'all something. Y'all, I love Aunt the character. Don't bring him over here. There was a part, one of my favorite quotes. I'm gonna read it to y'all. But one of my favorite quotes was when Aunt was talking to Venus, and he tells her, it's like he doesn't have a problem with being corrected, right? But he's like,
but Devin Ray got them in her basement. Girl, I wish I did.
He says, so this is where they come. He's like, you'll even accept constructive criticism from judgmental bitches like me. This Venus talking, and she firing at him. He's like, it depends. And she was like, on. And he goes, what it pertains to and how you deliver it to me. He said, sometimes women think a nigga need hand holding. Whole time we just be wanting guidance on how to be men without condescending bullshit that come with it. And he shrugged his shoulder. He goes, correct me with respect is all I'm saying. Y'all, I felt that shit. I felt that shit because I was like, I feel like, because sometimes I've heard a woman check their man and I'm fucking embarrassed like a motherfucker. I'm like, damn, did she talk to that nigga like that? Did she really handle? He was able to articulate, check me, but do it respectfully. And too many of us get besides ourselves, and you talking to your man like he your fucking kid or your pet. And it's like, he was like, I ain't got a problem with you checking me, but do that shit out of love. Do that shit respectfully. And for the age gap, for him to be that, that's right. The boundary had been established. That's what they gave back and forth. They literally gave it back and forth to each other, where they were saying, yep, here's where I draw the line in the sand. Yep, this is non-negotiable. And I love that for them. They were able to really thrive off, with one another. They kind of off each other. That's Kirsten's ass. She's gonna be if she gets the right motherfucker that's gonna check her ass. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody ain't playing that shit. Everybody ain't playing that. And then there was another part that I want to speak to those of us who have either been in a marriage or are married. And for Kirsten, right? Even her, where so many people get caught up in wanting to be a wife. And she goes, this is in her mind. This is her thought. She said, Trey has swiped all that away because Rose believed in the mama, right? Y'all remember that hoe?
Yeah. You call Rose a hoe?
Rose is a hoe.
Somebody said shout out to
I
Grandma
have.
Lola, to Granny Lola, because she held Aunt down throughout the whole book. She did. Lola did. She held her grandbaby down.
That whole Rose pissed me off so bad. The way she drank for Venus, that hoe is dirty. Yeah, I have no respect.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, I hate it. That's a bitch we can hate, y'all.
Her and
Because
Brian.
she said Rose believed good wives gave up that right. Oh, who the fuck was Rose? Who the fuck was she married to? Where was her man? Because if she was paying attention to her man, we wouldn't have had this problem, right? So she goes, feelings and decisions were controlled by all the good husbands who stripped their wives of their identities and gave them new ones that revolved around the institution of marriage. How many of us, whether we're in a relationship or marriage, end up losing our identity? You already lose your identity if you become a parent, right? Because you not who you are, this woman. You become this mama. You become this wife, and all these different responsibilities kind of take precedence. Rose had me pissed because what you mean? I am not here to satisfy these niggas. I think Rose was just not understanding the complexity of her son's situation. Lola said at one point she wasn't very bright. That's evident. That hoe was brainwashed. She was brainwashed probably by all of the fake ass women that she was around. That was a lot. Carlotta is a mess. She needed to be checked. Who's Carlotta?
Aunt's mom, Carlotta. Yeah, Carlotta was
That
interesting. I don't.
I forgot all about that crazy hoe too. She's another one because her loyalty was just misplaced. It was like,
Yeah,
first
it
of all,
was. A woman who becomes a wife or a wife lose their identity because she is intentional. That is very true. I wanted to
very
definitely
much.
highlight that. Even whenever you enter a marriage, even if you're not like intentionally trying to lose your identity, it can happen. It can happen to anybody. Like as a married woman talking to like other married women, that's like a big topic conversation. It's kind of like you lose yourself a little bit. You don't want to and you don't plan on it happening. It just kind of happens. And you really have to do your due diligence to maintain yourself and your identity throughout that marriage because it's easy to lose it because you become somebody's wife, you know, like such and such's wife, or, you know, this is what my wife does. And that was a big thing for Venus, is just kind of unlearning all of that and getting back to who she used to be before she got married. And I love how Ant was able to bring that out of her. Like, I love the little snippets we get where he talks about, like, oh, this is the Venus before Trey. Or
Yes.
like when he's talking to Trey and he was like, what Trey up there talking about now? He was like, you can't hold my hand because of Trey. I like that, yeah.
My girl said, what you said, boo? She said you had that's me. She said, had my girl Venus forgetting how she liked her eggs. Girl, I believe
Yes.
you ain't
She had
lying.
to think about that. She was like, I don't remember how I like my damn eggs cooked.
Even when she talked to her daddy and she was talking about fixing eggs, he was like, what? Don't
Yeah,
you eat eggs no more?
exactly. Oh, I love how her therapist told her to get her walk back. Yeah, even her walk, because he had made her forget those things. He had made her self-conscious about that because he always had something to say about it. Like, think about it. If you're friends with somebody and you do something and it's something you do naturally, but they always point it out like, oh, you always do that, or you shouldn't do that, or I don't like the way you do that. And over time, you become insecure about that
Right.
thing. So it's like relearning yourself all over again.
Rose, when it was talking about how she dressed and,
Yeah.
you know, like, don't play hating because my thighs is a little thicker than
Yes.
yours.
And somebody pointed out earlier too that Venus didn't understand like the sex appeal she had or how sexy she was. And that was a thing for Ant. Like you had to remind her, like, you sexy as hell. Like,
And that's exactly what she needed. Somebody that was basically complimenting her, acknowledging her, because she even told him how beautiful he was.
yes,
That too
exactly.
was important. And her husband and didn't stand up for her. You know, everybody walked over her. And then for
Mm-hmm.
you to walk in on this nigga with another hoe on his dick, that's just in my house.
Yep. Yep. That is
Yeah,
something.
we'd
She
probably been
is
in court for
Jade.
it.
You think I'm
So
Jade? Aw.
what about that scene, y'all? Let's go to court. When they in court.
Oh yeah.
And when we finally get to court, before we go to court, let's talk about Zeke's conversation. When 30, the 30 crew is sitting there talking. In a minute, I'm gonna need to go grab my charger. We were talking about how Zeke had to let him know he's tired of him having to fight for what isn't his. He's like, let that child go. Let that nigga be a y'all. Oh man, he wanted to whip Zeke's ass. I mean, he literally grabbed a hold and he was about ready to kill him. And I felt his hurt, his pain, because technically you couldn't tell me biologically I may not be my dad's kid, but you can't ever tell me that, because my dad, I'm his. So we don't play that step shit. In some families, people are there, they don't need to be bonded by blood. And that was the case. And say that's my baby.
Yeah.
And in our family, once that man said that's his, everybody got accepted. I don't need no fucking blood test.
Exactly.
Mine. I did what he said. He did the skin to skin with her.
Yes, and I think a part of Zeke too just was tired of seeing his friend hurt, because that is painful to watch your best friend bond with a baby, and then every few months the baby's getting taken away. And he's sad and depressed because the baby's gone and trying to fight for the baby. So I could see Zeke's point of view too. Could he have delivered it better? Absolutely.
Exactly.
Also, can we talk about all the fights that have happened in Josiah's backyard?
Yeah. Listen, that's how you know they real fucking brothers, right? It was like, listen, you need to feel my hurt, my pain. But a lot of people say Zeke was wrong for that. He was out of line. I kind of stood on the fence with that one, because what Zeke was doing was acknowledging the hurt he was seeing his brother go through. Because this girl wanted to keep fucking taking, Dee kept wanting to take Munch in and out. He was literally, Dee kept using Munch as a goddamn, what they call it, like, she was just kind of using her to get him, right?
She was, when that's not yes.
Baby. A pawn. That's the word.
A pawn.
Yeah. And it was
said they
so
need a
wrong.
boxing ring in the backyard. Y'all are crazy. They really do though.
He was wrong in voicing it, but he was not lying. And again, the concern was, I don't want to see my brother hurt no more. I don't want to see him, being toyed with. If he it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt either way. But he kept it 100. And this translates into the court. When that judge, when the attorney asked him, you said you'd have killed him, would you really have? My boy had no problem saying, sure the fuck would. Nuney was so sick, and he was so in love with Munch. Not the idea of him being a father, that he was a father. You just could not take that baby away. And just like somebody said, you can't take Journey away from JoJo. That was his
baby. Right. I like how this is JoJo be having whole breakdowns over Brandon picking up Journey. He does. He does.
And we even got reminded once again how the real parents, because that's what Jay's mom was, a real parent, right? She truly loved them, but she stood for what was right. She saw how much he loved that doggone baby. He saw that. Yes, he spoiled her because he gave her things that his ass never had. And girl, Journey knows she could have it all. She could have it all. So, but when we got in that courtroom, everybody spoke to, even the judge felt that shit. How much, no matter what, Munch loved her daddy and Aunt loved Munch. But see that moment when I found out Dee had dropped Munch off at Brian's house? I ain't allowed.
Oh yeah, that yeah.
I wanted to.
But that spoke to Dee's immaturity. Like, yeah.
That baby cried for her daddy, not her mama. Oh, girl, that hurted my heart so bad. The way that baby cries, like, she don't know that nigga. That was truly crazy. She did not know this man from the freaking dirt on her shoes. Everything about them was truly
She was
high.
being spiteful.
Yeah.
I agree, Shar. I think she was being spiteful, definitely. And yeah, the
No,
judge did recognize Brian as being a stranger. Yeah.
I almost felt like I don't know. I felt it was a little trifling on her part, right? Like at one point I was starting to wonder, well, is she just pawning the baby off on anybody that'll take the baby? Right? That's where my mind initially went. So you left him with Brian, and it's like this nigga made sure you ain't had nowhere to even lay your head.
Mm-hmm. And I also think a part of Dee Dee just wanted Brian to form that bond with Munch. That was just a thing that she wanted because she was so sure that he was going to leave his family for her. Like she just knew that was going to happen, and it didn't end up working out that way. But to hear his testimony and hear how much back and forth, like mentally, she had to deal with, especially whenever he says one day she's in love with me and the next day she's in love with her boyfriend. So he's like, I really couldn't tell you. She was very unpredictable. So,
and I can see that too. Oh, Shawty Doo-Wop. Y'all pointed out some great things. Let's talk about these comments here. Somebody says, but like Venus said, Brian didn't want the baby. It was his wife being petty. I didn't trust that wife either. Because the first thing I was waiting for the one of the attorneys to point out was, why your wife not here? If she's such big support over this, why is she not here? I love that Shawty Doo-Wop. Devin is pointed out to us how much money Aunt never gave up paying all that money for the right attorney to handle the case. The best of the best. That was they was adamant about. Mine's talking about Munch told Brian to take her to her daddy. Exactly. That baby knew who daddy was. That baby knew who that baby was. Know what the court would decide. But when Nuney got in that accident, I thought we were in trouble. Yeah, a lot of us thought we was in trouble with that accident.
yeah.
Because that part had me worried that, first off, that he was really injured, right? I love that he called Venus. I was so mad with him too because I was like, "What the fuck are you doing? You making these?"
I remember you texting. You were like, "Ooh, Venus is so mad at him right now," and I laughed. You were like, "Oh my God, Venus is so mad."
Like, bro, he's in a stolen fucking car. Are you serious? We do not need this shit right now, right, girl?
I think that scene, it definitely took everybody's blood pressure up. Yeah, but that was a part of Nuney's character. As mature as he was, he still had elements to him that where he needed to grow, and that was just one of those things. And that's how we saw him in 30. And even whenever he's spoken about in the end game, it's still stuff that he had to work on.
Somebody points out, Anne says she always left when she thought she found someone better. Yeah. And you know what? Doesn't that happen to all of us when we don't realize what we have? Right? You think the grass is greener on the other side. She hadn't experienced anything else to compare it to.
And she comes to that realization at the end when she apologizes to him because she says, "You treated me good." And she didn't realize that until she went out and was trying to find something better. And that's what's out there.
Yeah. I held my breath on those scenes too, y'all. Rae wanted to give us a heart attack. I do believe. Because she know my nerves is bad. I was like, listen. Girl, I was worried about everything, Jasmine. Listen, we go into real life in these books, right? Shit the author ain't even writing. We sitting there, brought it up in our mind and shit. I was so mad at him. That's when he started running. Girl, I was like, somebody gonna identify him. And then when the attorney called and she was like, you know, they all kind of knew what was going on. Yeah, that made my nerves bad. I was so freaking nervous about all of that.
Somebody said Kima was the same. I feel like in Kima's case was special because, I mean, Andre went to prison. He was supposed to be in prison for life. So, I mean, think about that. You're young and your man gets locked up and he's supposed to be gone for the rest of your life and his life. I mean, what was she supposed to do? I don't think I would have second waited on Andre. I'm gonna be honest with you. Love him to death, but I mean, in real life, really,
In real life,
I don't think I would have waited. Yeah. So, and then for him to unexpectedly get released and you've moved on and you're with somebody you don't really love when this was your true love. So that had to have been a mind fuck for Kima. So
yeah,
I
that
also
did.
loved her character too. Yeah.
Noverton82 says Venus plain truth in there while Ant trying to get away and Ant stops what he's doing to reply. Baby, let me tell you something. I love those moments too, but I was like, girl, get the fuck in the car and drive. I was like, get your ass in this car and drive.
Oh
Oh,
man.
let's see. What we got? Some Venus going on pointless dates and texting Ant while they on her. Girl, when her cousin kept trying to hook her up with them niggas, when he was at the restaurant, girl, those moments. Oh my
Oh
God.
man.
All the way throughout this book, all the way to the end, you kept your readers all the way through. Like, we were invested. First off, we're already invested. This is our family. This is our boys, right?
They are.
Like, I so appreciate how intentional you are with pointing out to us that their human side, yeah, they had to be rough in the streets because the streets was rough with them, right? But you brought us back to understanding that they went through something, and their bond is sometimes trauma, but a lot of it is just genuine love. Like, there's a friendship, there's a way that they went about this. Yeah, I like that too. That and I wouldn't necessarily say it was prideful. I felt like they love each other so much that they would not take advantage of each other. Like, they're not gonna ask JoJo. They are really big on being men, right?
Yes.
But, like, listen, my brother got people to feed too. He got to handle his business.
Yes.
And
And that another thing too with that situation, I always try to think from the
good.
perspective of like the characters, like, okay. And also I'll ask people in real life too, like they won't know I'm asking because it's about a book, but I'll be like, what do you think about this? Like, what would you do? And just to hear people's different answers are super interesting. But yeah, I mean, of course JoJo would give him the money, but it's like, come on, you to sit there and ask your friend for that amount of money and then the baby's not even yours at that. Like, I
That part. One Noverton asked another great question. Why Atlanta? Why did you? Because you brought us to
I
Houston,
did.
brought us to Houston with Ace, and then you brought us to Atlanta.
Yes. So somebody asked me this whenever I first wrote Saving Sunflower, and my answer is because I mean people like to shit on Atlanta a lot, but really and truly Atlanta is like the basis or the mecca really for hip hop or just for rap period. Like just the culture, and then you have a lot of rappers too. They move to Atlanta. I mean, think about how many rappers they're from New York. They're from here and there, and guess what? They moved to Atlanta. And so my thinking was like, okay, it'd be really, really cool to base the series in Atlanta. And I love traveling to Atlanta. I always have fun in Atlanta. It's always a ball whenever I go. So I thought it'd be fun, and I just had to stay like consistent throughout the series. I moved at the end of it all home to Houston because I had told somebody I'm tired of Atlanta. I need a little break from Atlanta. I shall return. I should be back, and I came back. But yeah, it's always fun writing about Atlanta, and it was fun writing about home too, writing about Texas. I love Texas, so it was fun writing about Texas too.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Bunny going to HBCU as well.
Yeah,
She brought it
yeah.
out of her little ghetto ass. That damn. Ray, you brought us. A lot of people have had so much to say about what you should write next, and I know I felt like Zeke got a story coming too. Uh, but where do you see yourself going with the next write? What should we?
I don't know. I don't know. Y'all know I do not like speaking too soon. Y'all know I go quiet. I go quiet and go write something. I don't like putting it out there before I'm really deep into the story. So I have ideas. I don't know. People throwing out. I see Deshaun and Zeke. Whatever you write, I'm reading it. Period. Thank
Period.
you, Jade. Thank you,
Period.
Jade.
Listen, look, I sent her a text one day to try to encourage her, y'all, and I was like, listen, good luck and da 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 da. And by the way, I'm available. Shameful plug. Look, on shameful plug. I am definitely like beta me, please.
Yeah.
But
And even
one of
the
the things
betas, like y'all don't even know until you get it. Like
I have no
y'all will
idea.
y'all will have like the blurb, but I don't do like samples or anything like that only because I do really intense editing. So like I can give y'all a sample, but I guarantee you it won't look nothing like what you read when the book is published. Like and even the version like the betas got, if you read the version that's published, it's a lot of different changes
There are
because
changes.
yeah, people
Yes.
have to read through, you have to find inconsistencies, the editor has to go through, like it's so many different moving and working parts to putting a book out that people don't realize.
I think Kirsten's gonna redeem herself too. Somebody pointed out that wedding scene. I am so happy that you finally made them married. I mean,
Yes,
I'm
because you have been asking them, you like, when they gonna get engaged? When they gonna get married? Because
I'm
Chloe and
waiting
Dominique just been shacking up.
on Dominic and Chloe to get married because it's like, come on. My girl done had how many babies as it is? Her grandpa was not feeling that shit, okay?
But I think that's true to life. I mean, think about it. I mean, I feel like it's true to life. That's a big thing right now. People will make babies and not get married for their own reasons or whatever. But I don't know. I feel like whenever they're ready to make that leap, I will let them make it. But I definitely feel like JoJo and Jade were ready. Like they've been ready. If it was up to JoJo, like they would have been married back in the end game, child. JoJo was in love, still in love. So.
What did Dominic and Chloe have? The second baby?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I didn't reveal the gender of the second baby, but at the end of it all. So if you haven't read at the end of it all, that's when we find out that Chloe is pregnant with another baby, and at the end of it all.
Right, because we just mentioned that, they came in there with the kids for the
Hmm.
wedding, but we didn't get
Yeah,
details
the
about them. So
gender.
maybe that'll be in the next book. Somebody will be having an event that everybody's in attendance to, and we get some more tea on that. Someone's asking, when can we expect the hard copies to be available for our readers that want to read it in print and hard copy? Paper.
So the paperback copy or version, they just approved it, I think, the other night. So it's available for purchase. If you want a paperback, it's up. The hard copy, still working on that. I'm waiting on the proof to come in the mail because I need to make sure it looks right before I approve it for Amazon to put it up for sale. So, but paperback is up. I'm waiting on the hard copy now. So if you want to order and annotate, it's up. It's up for you.
Ooh, Daisy Reed said Kirsten can't be a part of the 30 world.
Kirsten, but
Mm.
Kirsten isn't original though. She was in the end game. Like she has, as annoying as she is, she got to be there, y'all.
That was a good story here. So we did get a good little story about how JoJo had to ask Jay's mom for her hand in marriage.
Yeah.
That was a nice story. Devin is asking for a little bit more, like a little novella.
Y'all know I
Y'all,
cannot write novellas.
I'm
I
about to say,
cannot.
Rae already said she cannot write short.
I can't. I will start out trying to write something short, and yeah, it always ends up being long.
Ooh, asked who will be the narrators for the Audible?
I don't know. I've been getting suggestions in my inbox. Y'all have not been shy about that. The people have spoken. So if you have suggestions, send them my way.
Wait, we have the question. Mimi is saying, will the other books be available anytime soon? What do you mean, the other paperbacks? Because all of her copies, her hard copies, are available. Tell
Yeah.
me what you mean, baby. Move Kirsten to Texas.
No, I could. I could. She could come to Texas.
Yeah, y'all, I love thickums. I love thick books. And when I get up and listen, I can show you my bookshelf. I have every freaking copy of Rae's books. When I read her work, I know I'm getting a whole story. I know to just be patient. She's gonna take me somewhere. I I could see this book playing out in a movie. And I started creating the characters, playing with canvas, and I'm like, wait, I saw this pretty girl, but she ain't got purple hair. Let me give her some purple hair. She said, don't let her spread her negativity
Girl.
across. Y'all are yes. You're gonna have to go all the way. So, Rae, I want to thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I so appreciate it. Because look, I kept telling my girls, I was like, man, Maisha didn't beat me to the punch. I wanted to be the first one to call on her. But I wanted to do it in BSB. But unfortunately, like right now, Tara is traveling. It's damn near bedtime for Allegra. So I so appreciate y'all for hanging in there with us. I hope you feel
We hope
better
you
soon.
feel better, Mai.
Yes, thank you for joining in. Yeah, we always gonna get a nice thick book from Rae. Woo!
And thank
Thank you.
y'all for loving my slow burns. I know it's not for everybody, but I love slow burns. That's
Ah,
me. Y'all always gonna get a long book.
somebody asked, was this live going to be available somewhere else? I don't know.
Girl, I don't know. I'm gonna try to save it. Look, I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'll save it and see, or
Yes.
see if I can save
I
it.
so appreciate y'all for joining us. And if you are not following BSB, we have an
Girl,
exclusive reveal coming soon. So follow us, click that follow button. I so appreciate y'all. I will see y'all around.
thank y'all. Bye. Oh, wait, does anybody have any last questions before I hop off? Or did I
Maisha,
get all
I
of them answered?
it on Dre with Nuney.
Oh,
Leave my little
girl.
alone.
I need this. I'll try to save it. Oh, thank you, Shar. Oh, thank y'all. I love y'all. See y'all
Y'all
later.
awesome.
Bye.
Y'all cool.